The scream is muffled, not by mercy, but by linen clenched between teeth. A dislocated shoulder is wrenched back into place by a gnarled hand slick with grease and soot. The boy does not cry. He does not dare. Across from him, candlelight trembles on damp stone, casting long shadows that sway like gallows ropes. One snuffs out, the other flickers on. Edric breathes through his nose, slow and shallow, as the old bone setter nods in approval and wraps the joint in boiled cloth. The pain is sharp, but it is clean, unlike the filth beneath his fingernails, or the thoughts that rot at the edge of his mind. He bites down, not on linen now, but on the memory of green fields, warm hands, and a lullaby sung off-key. These are his true wounds. They fester quietly, untouched. Outside, the wind howls through the gorge like a widow keening over a pyre. The fortress was carved here for a reason, far from the reach of warm hearths or curious eyes. It is not meant to be found, and those who enter it as boys will never leave as men, not in any form the world would recognize. In the courtyard, drills resume, wooden swords crack against wooden shields, and each blow is followed by a grunt, a curse, or the dull thud of a body hitting mud. The mud here never dries. It clings to souls and souls alike. In it Edric's feet have learned to dance, not with grace, but with grim purpose. Every misstep is punished. Every hesitation leaves a bruise. They call it training, but it is more than that. It is unmaking. One boy collapses from exhaustion, or perhaps from hunger. The overseer does not shout. He simply gestures. Two others drag the boy away by his arms, leaving a dark trail where his skin scraped the stones. No one asks where he's taken. No one speaks his name. Names are luxuries here. Names are for boys with futures. In the chapel, smoke curls from blackened incense pots, winding upward, like the souls of those long buried beneath the flagstones. The priest murmurs verses in Latin, words once holy now hollowed by repetition and mildew. He does not preach salvation, only silence. His eyes, half clouded by age, and something darker, never linger too long on any one face. He fears what he might recognize there. Edric kneels, his knees throb, raw from stone and prayer. The altar is adorned with relics, not of saints, but of warriors, a cracked helm, a splintered lance, a finger bone set in gold. The only light comes from the narrow windows high above, where the sun never truly reaches, only a pale memory of it, filtered through dust and sorrow. And yet, there is something alive within Edric, a flame so small it could be mistaken for a dying ember, and perhaps it is. But it flickers still. He remembers a voice, not his mother's, that has long since faded into the wind. This voice is firmer, harsher, the voice of the old captain who oversees the drills. "You are not here to become knights," he once spat, pacing between rows of trembling boys. "Knights wear silk and write poems. You are here to become weapons." The words ring like iron struck on anvil, cold, loud and final. Weapons, blades, not sons, not brothers. Edric's hand twitches. He does not remember the last time he touched another with gentleness. Every hand here is a fist, a grip, or a blow. Even the embraces are rehearsed grapples, training for the kill. In the dormitory, the boys lie in rows like corpses prepared for burial. The straw beneath them rustles with lice, and the air hangs heavy with unwashed bodies and broken dreams. Somewhere in the dark, someone whimpers, not from pain, but from memory. It is always memory that hurts most. A boy 2 beds down clutches a scrap of cloth to his chest. It's stained, frayed, but it smells of lavender. A sister's scarf perhaps, or a mother's sleeve. Edric watches him, but says nothing. He envies him, not for the token, but for remembering who gave it. Outside, the bell tolls again. Once, twice, long, low, mournful. It is not the hour bell. It is a summons. They gather in the great hall, the fire pits long extinguished. A single torch flares near the dais. There, chained to a pillar, kneels a deserter, no older than Edric. His face is swollen. His eye, a mass of purple, blood crusts at the corners of his mouth. Yet he does not weep. The captain addresses them, voice steady as stone. "Cowards rot before blades do. Then he draws his dagger, no ceremony, no trial, just the whisper of steel, the gasp of breath, and the thud of a body collapsing like wet parchment. Silence. The boys are told to look, to remember, to feel nothing, but Edric feels something. Not horror, he is far past that. Not pity, that too has withered. What he feels is recognition, a terrible, trembling recognition. The boy on the floor could have been him. The line between obedience and oblivion is drawn in blood, and it shifts like sand. That night, as the wind whips against the shutters and the crows scream from the ramparts, Edric cannot sleep. He stares at the ceiling, counting the cracks, the stains, the cobwebs that tremble in drafty gusts. He thinks of his name, the one his mother whispered in secret, the one he was made to forget. It itches in the back of his throat, like an unswallowed truth. He tries to speak it aloud, but his lips will not move. Instead he murmurs a different name, one that does not belong to him, but to the boy who bled before them. It is a small defiance, a quiet rebellion. But in this place, even a whisper is dangerous. Morning will come soon, drills will resume, the gauntlets will tighten, the blows will land, and Edric will move as he has been trained, silent, obedient, unfeeling. But somewhere beneath the bruises and the bone and the filth, something still lives, something that remembers the feel of warmth, the sound of a name, the weight of a choice. And when the bell tolls again, perhaps it will not be to summon another execution. Perhaps it will mark the moment a boy begins to see not just what he must survive, but what he might one day become. Rain slithers down a stone gargoyle's face as lightning fractures the heavens once more, casting bone-white light across the shattered cliffs. The sound is less thunder and more a growl, like the keep itself resents the morning. Below, in the training yard, where the soil never dries, 12 boys kneel still, their tunics cling to their spines, soaked in rain and blood. The night master moves past them, silent, deliberate. The butt of his spear cuts a thin trench, again and again, like he's plowing the earth for the seeds of something darker. This is not discipline. This is reforging. The dawn does not rise at Black Hollow Keep. It is pried open, clawed through screams and steel. The boys no longer ask what day it is, nor what season. The passage of time is measured only by bruises and scars. They are no longer called by names, only numbers carved into the wooden beams above their bunks. Toma is number 7. He remembers vaguely, a mother with milk in her voice, a brother who carved wooden soldiers. But now, memory is dangerous, softness is punished, mercy is punished, thought is punished. Today, the mud smells of iron. Toma kneels with one arm slack against his chest, wrapped in cloth and splinted with ashwood. His wrist, broken yesterday, pulses with fire. He does not wince. He does not move. A new boy arrived this morning. His hands shook as he undressed in the cold. He whispered a name, perhaps his own. Toma watched without blinking. The new boy will learn, quickly, or he won't be here long. They train in silence. The only sounds are grunts, strikes, and the thud of wood on bone. A boy named Dren collapses after a blow to the temple. The night master steps over him, unmoved. He will rise, or he will rot. And so the others keep sparring, stepping carefully around their fallen brother like one might avoid a corpse in the road. The food comes at midday, a pale gray mash of barley, hardened tallow, and something unspoken. The boys eat in lines, kneeling. Talking is not forbidden, but unnecessary. What would they say? What comfort exists in words when your stomach turns at the smell of yourself? Toma chews without tasting. His eyes are locked on the chapel tower, a spire of stone, narrow and cruel, like a finger scolding the heavens. That's where the confessions are held. That's where names become knives. Each evening, as the sun dares to peer beneath the clouds, the boys file into the chapel. No hymns, no sermons, just the sound of dripping wax and the faint rasp of confession. Number 9 stole rations. Number 2 cried during prayers. Number 5 whispered his old name in sleep. Each sin is etched into a parchment. Later they're read aloud, one by one, while the boys kneel with heads bowed. unsure whether they are the betrayed or the betrayer. A boy named Ren was taken last week after someone spoke of his laughter. No one laughs now, not even the night master, especially not him. There is one priest, old, bent and silent. His robes are patched with threadbare crosses. He never speaks, only listens. And when a boy's secrets are not enough, the priest watches the night master decide. Sometimes it ends in lashes, sometimes in silence, sometimes the boy simply disappears. Toma has learned not to speak too much, nor too little. He whispers enough to survive, but never enough to be noticed. He has become wind in the grass, a shadow in fog. But inside, something coils. The broken wrist has not numbed. It has taught him. The pain is a pulse that reminds him of what they took, and what they failed to break. That night, as the others sleep, some with open eyes, some with clenched fists, Toma slips from his bunk. The rain has stilled. The clouds drift like old sails across the moon. He limps to the training yard, clutching his useless hand against his ribs. The wooden swords are stacked against the far wall, slick with rain. He takes one in his good hand. Not to train, to remember. He swings, slow, uneven. The muscles in his shoulder burn with each arc. But he keeps going, over and over, until sweat mixes with rain, until his fingers blister, until the memories return, not of pain, but of purpose. He is not a number. He is not a ghost. He is the son of a butcher, the brother of a boy who built wooden swords, and he will not die here. He will become what they fear. A torch flares behind him. The night master steps into view, arms crossed, gaze unreadable. For a moment, neither speaks. Then the night says, "You should be sleeping." Toma doesn't stop swinging. Another arc, another breath. The night master walks closer, boots quiet in the mud. That hand will never heal, if you keep testing it. Toma's voice is low. It doesn't need to. There's a pause, not silence, because Black Hollow Keep never sleeps, but something slower, something thoughtful. The night master crouches in the dirt, drawing a rough circle with his gauntlet. "Do you know what this place is?" he asks. Toma says nothing. "A forge," the night whispers. "The fire breaks you down. The hammer reshapes you. But only if you survive the heat." He looks up. "Will you survive it?" Number 7. Toma stares back. His voice, though quiet, cuts through the air like steel. "I will outlast it." The night master says nothing more. He stands, turns, and disappears into shadow. Toma doesn't watch him go. He lifts the sword again, swings, again and again. When the sun finally rises, it does not warm the stones of Black Hollow Keep, but a single ray slices through the clouds, catching the edges of the chapel spire. The gargoyle's face gleams wet, but the rain has stopped. Inside the bunkhouse, the boys stir. Toma returns, his tunic soaked, eyes sharp. The others watch him, not with curiosity, but with something deeper, recognition. He is one of them, but different now. Something in him has set, and in the quiet that follows, a wind moves through the slits in the stone wall, low and steady, like breath beneath a helmet. The next chapter has not yet come, but Toma is ready for it. A bell chimes 3 times. The sound rolls through the valley, like thunder muffled in wool, swallowed by frost, then echoed back, thinner, lonelier, a signal, a summons, a sentence. In the stone belly of Caer Rin, the air is colder than death. The breath of boys rises like ghosts, curling in the torchlight. Their feet, bare against the cracked flagstones, shift in silence. Around them, saints carved from granite, faces half-shattered, eyes eternally weeping, watch without mercy. The circle tightens, wooden blades clutched in trembling hands. Not toys, not training sticks, instruments of pain, shaped to sting, to split lips and bruise ribs, and remind them that war makes no room for softness. These boys are not yet men, but they bleed like them. A step, a whisper of leather, the mastered arms moves, one hand gone, the stump bound in black cloth, the other gripped around a cane of iron wood that taps the stone without echo. His mouth pulls sideways into a sneer shaped by fire long ago. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. A single finger lifts, a boy charges, another falls, a crunch, a gasp, the wet splatter of nose against floor. Blood blooms like a red flower between his teeth. The boy tries to rise. The cane presses to his neck. He stills. Lesson learned. This is how the sons of peasants are reborn into wolves. Above them, the great hall sits in silence. Its hearth has not been lit in weeks. Wood is scarce, and warmth is a privilege. Tapestries, once regal, now sag with damp and rot. Lions with missing manes, angels with moth-eaten wings, they hang like forgotten prayers. In the kitchens, bones boil. The broth is thin, the marrow scraped from every socket. Hunger is its own instructor here, sharp, slow and inescapable. Boys steal when they can, but the steward counts everything now. In whispers, in shadows, even the onion skins are watched. Spies, he says, could be anywhere, even among the kitchen boys, especially among them. Young Ewan scrapes his blade with a whetstone by candlelight. The metal sings a dry, shrill note with each notched, splintered, but it holds, like him. His hands are coal-used now, no longer soft from kneading dough, but sometimes, in the quiet, he remembers the flour, the heat of the oven, his father humming a song that had no words. He sees those hands thick, gentle, dusted white, reaching out to him through memory, but they vanish behind a gauntlet, cold, iron, final. Ewan blinks, the flame in front of him flickers, a moth circles once, twice, then dives into the fire. For a heartbeat, it glows, wings turn to gold, and then it's ash. He exhales, slowly, something hardens in his chest. Tonight is the right, the boys know it, though none speak of it. Tradition, older than any of them, older even than the saints in stone. One squire shall be chosen, the victor, the worthy, but worth here is not granted. It is taken, and it must be paid in blood. One boy will fall, that is the law. The chapel is prepared in silence. Cold candles shiver in their iron holders. The old priest mutters in Latin, his fingers shaking as he blesses the chalice. He has seen too many boys burn. He no longer remembers their names. The hour nears. Ewan joins the others in the training yard. The sky above is black velvet, pricked with distant stars. Breath clouds rise from their mouths in unison. No words, only waiting. The mastered arms paces before them. His cane drags a slow circle into the dirt. Then he stops. Two, he growls. His voice is gravel soaked in wine. Step forward. Ewan feels his legs move before his mind catches up. Beside him, a taller boy, Bren, steps forward too. Broad shoulders, a chipped tooth, eyes that never flinch. They have fought before. Bren won, but that was months ago. Ewan has learned to bleed quieter since then. The boys face each other. Torches flicker. The circle tightens again. The cold presses in. Then, the nod. Bren lunges first. A downward strike. Ewan pivots. Blade raised. Wood slams against wood. The sound echoes sharp across the yard. Sparks fly. Someone hisses. Another swing. Ewan ducks. They move like animals now. No grace, no thought, just instinct and pain. Bren's blade cracks across Ewan's ribs. The breath explodes from his lungs. He stumbles. Knees scrape stone, but he does not fall. He rises, and strikes. The wooden edge finds Bren's collarbone. A snap of something soft. Bren stumbles, then roars. They crash together like dogs, blades forgotten, fists swinging. The mastered arms does not stop them. This is the right. A final blow. Ewan's elbow to Bren's temple. The boy slumps, still breathing, but unmoving. Silence. Only the wind through the chapel rafters breaks it. The priest steps forward. The chalice is raised. A hymn begins. A low hollow sound. Ewan is handed a cloak. Black wool, heavy with age. He drapes it over his shoulders. He does not smile. He does not cry. The steward gives a single nod. The boys disperse. A pyre is built behind the training yard. Bren's body is laid upon it, though his chest still rises and falls. It does not matter. The right has chosen. Mercy is not part of the old ways. Flames rise. The boys watch. The smoke curls into the sky like a second soul. Ash drifts down across the flagstones, where they will walk at dawn, barefoot, always barefoot. Back in the barracks, Ewan cannot sleep. His ribs ache, his hands shake. He stares at the ceiling, sees not wood or stone, but fire, moth wings, a gauntlet. His father's hands. The cloak is heavy on his shoulders. Even now, he is no longer a boy, but he does not yet feel like a man. He closes his eyes. Somewhere beyond the valley, another bell will ring before the next dawn, but not for him, not yet. Still he listens, for hoofbeats in the dark, for a name whispered in war council, for the sound of steel being drawn in silence, because something has begun, and far above Cairn where the frost never melts, and the air is thin, a falcon circles once, then vanishes into shadow. The next storm is already coming. The wind howls through broken arrow slits, not like a whisper, but like a cry, long and hollow, as if the keep itself remembers pain. The scent it carries is familiar, pine smoke, and something older, rot, buried in the stone, in the wood, in the marrow of the place. Hollowmere Keep stands high above the valley, its towers like frozen sentinels, staring into time. The world below believes it abandoned, forgotten, but beneath its frost-hardened bones, something stirs. A dozen boys move through the courtyard, in perfect lines, not yet men. Their limbs are thin, their shoulders still learning how to carry weight, but they do not stumble, they do not speak. Their shadows fall long across the ice-packed stones, sharp and brittle in the morning light. Breath curls from their mouths, pale, silent ghosts. No sound escapes them, not even a cough. Silence is not discipline, it is law. Their masters, cloaked in red wool and chainmail, watch from beneath the cloisters, eyes hollow as if some vital light was carved out long ago. They speak in unison, chants, orders, codes. Their voices rise not in anger, but in ritual. They do not train these boys for glory. There will be no songs sung of their deeds. They are shaped for the shadows, to vanish into enemy ranks like blades into flesh, unseen, unnamed, unmourned. Gareth is the smallest, barely taller than the hilt of a sword. His hands are raw, his lips cracked. He has not spoken since the flail found his brother's ribs, shattering breath, bone, and blood in a single trial. They buried his brother, beneath the stones of the training yard. No grave, no prayer, just a name scratched into mortar with a nail. Now Gareth kneels on that very spot, his knees numb pressed into frozen earth. He doesn't look up. He's learned that mercy is a thing that invites pain. Inside the keep, the dining hall is colder than the night sky. It reeks of boiled onions, and something worse, despair. No fire burns, not even embers. The bread is blackened and hard, the pork, gray and thin as parchment. Still, the priest calls it a blessing, a test. Hunger, he says, is the whetstone of obedience, a holy thing. The boys eat in silence, one crust, one sliver, one stare, into nothing. The hours stretch like skin over bone. Then comes dusk, and with it, the rites of blood. They gather in the chapel, its blue glass windows glowing like frozen stars. There is no warmth here, only cold light, and colder steel. Each boy presses a blade to his own chest, a ritual that is more vow than punishment. The code of iron is recited not as words, but as blood oaths. One error, one stumble, and the blade is drawn. It need not cut, it only reminds. Tonight Gareth says every word perfectly, but not from memory, from need. Later, in the dark of the sleeping quarters, he dreams, not of swords, not of the yard, but of grass, of light, of a woman's face he can't quite remember, soft and warm, like bread from his mother's oven. Sunlight wraps around her, and for a moment, he almost believes he's safe. Then he wakes. The dream collapses like ash in rain. At the foot of his cot lies a falcon, dead, its wings tied with rough twine, blood on its beak, eyes glazed in frost. A lesson. Mercy has no place here. No one saw who placed it. No one needs to. The message is clear. Do not hope. Do not remember. Do not long for the sky. Gareth does not cry. He wraps the falcon in burlap, carries it beneath the chapel, and buries it beneath the flagstones, near his brother, without words. At dawn, he returns to the yard. Another day, another chant, another weight to carry in silence. But something has shifted. Not in the masters, not in the stone, in Gareth. He moves sharper now, eyes dull, but precise. When he kneels, it is not with fear, but with focus. There is a question inside him, tight and hidden, like a blade in the boot. What survives when all else is stripped away? Is it obedience, or something else? Something quieter, colder, more patient. The masters see his progress. They say nothing, but the nod of one tells the rest. The boy is ready for the deeper trials. Down below the keep, there are chambers sealed with iron doors. No light reaches them. No warmth touches them. There, the real shaping begins, where the code is no longer spoken, but carved, where loyalty is burned into flesh, and names are taken like old coats and discarded into flame. Soon, Gareth will enter those chambers. Soon, the boy will be broken and reforged. But tonight, as snow begins to fall across the yard, he looks up, just once. The stars are distant, but they are there, a flicker of sky, a memory, or perhaps, a warning. And behind him, in the chapel, the red-cloaked masters light a single torch. It hisses in the cold air. Smoke coils like a serpent. The rite begins again, but somewhere, deep beneath that stone-cold silence, a name waits, buried not in mortar, but in the heart, a name he will one day remember, and perhaps, one day, utter aloud, even if only once, before the blade falls. Mist clings to the ramparts of Dunmere Keep like old sorrow. It does not drift. It lingers, thick and low, like breath held too long. Below, the sea roars with the voice of something ancient and unmerciful, slamming itself again and again into the jagged cliffs as though trying to climb them, as though trying to reclaim something it once lost. A door creaks open, not loudly, not quickly, just a long, weary groan of rusted iron hinges as the wooden maw of the keep parts for its smallest souls. The boys emerge, each one draped in wet linen, colorless and heavy, each one carrying a wooden pail filled with sand, the weight of it digging into their redraw fingers. Before sword comes sand. Before war, weight. They are taught to carry first, to kneel, to clean. A blade is not lifted by the strong, but by the obedient. They move like ghosts of soldiers, not yet born. No one speaks. Voices were worn out weeks ago. Eyes are cast downward, not out of shame, but to avoid the stare of the ravens. The masters believe a boy must serve the tools of death before he wields them. So the boys polish shields they will never raise. They oil blades they are forbidden to touch. They sweep the blood from stone floors where others have fallen, perhaps even kin. The scent in the hall is a bitter braid of rust, tallow, and damp wool. This is the Hall of Echoes. The name was not given lightly. Its walls are chiseled with chants, long-forgotten oaths and names of the dead, and when the wind strikes just right, the hall hums with voices no longer living. The boys say the dead whisper in your sleep, and if you turn your head toward them, you will never wake. They sleep in rows, thin and still, beneath the stone arches like offerings laid at the feet of gods that no longer answer. Their dreams are not of glory. Their dreams are jagged, broken by cold, by nightmares, by the slow tolling of the prayer bell that signals the penance hour, midnight. One by one, they rise. One by one, barefoot and shivering, they approach the iron candlestick in the center of the hall. They kneel. They whisper their fear into the wick, not for comfort, but for record. The candle is never lit. I feared falling, one boy whispers, eyes closed tight. I feared his eyes, says another. I feared the sea, confesses a third. The candle remains dark, but the room listens. Always, and among them is Rorik. He watches the sea. He is not supposed to. The masters say the sea is unworthy of gaze. The sea does not look back. they say. But still, Rorik watches. Through the narrow arrows lit in the keep's wall, he stares at the endless horizon where gray meets gray, and he listens to the waves like they're trying to speak. His fingers trace the salt crust on the stone sill, a daily ritual. The salt builds like time. His father stood here once. His father trained here. His father died here. That history fits inside a pair of boots, boots that now blister Rorik's feet each morning and bleed them each night. During weapons drill, Rorik hesitates. Just a flicker, a breath too long before he lifts the wooden blade. It is enough. A senior knight steps forward and slaps him hard across the cheek. Do not look at the sea, the man growls. The sea does not look back. The sting in Rorik's face is nothing next to the burn in his chest. It is not shame. It is not sorrow. It is something colder, heavier, like iron submerged in water. Every fortnight, the boys are led to the cliff's edge. They walk in lines silent as monks, robes tugged by the wind like whispers trying to pull them away. There, where the world ends in stone and salt, they are made to watch. A goat is brought forward. Always a goat. Its eyes are calm. Its fate, ancient. The knife is clean and quick. Blood steams in the cold, and then the body is thrown down, down, down into the foaming throat of the sea. This, they are told, is the cost of failure. This is what the sea does with the weak. The sea swallows without memory. It does not care. It does not grieve. It only takes. But Rorik, he feels something shift, as the lifeless form tumbles into the abyss, as the sea accepts it without question. Rorik does not look away. He clenches his fists. He feels the old boots tight against his skin. He feels the salt sting his split lip. And he feels it. Not fear, not defiance, but something in between. A promise. The sea may not look back, but he will. One day, he will return to this place. Not as a boy in wet linen, but as a man of steel. He will not carry sand. He will carry names. Names of those who bled and were forgotten. Names of those who whispered into the unlit candle. Names carved into walls that no one reads anymore. He will return, not to obey, but to remember. To defy the silence that raised him. To lift his sword, where others were made to bow. And the sea will hear him. Back in the Hall of Echoes, the boys sleep once more, but not Rorik. He lies awake beneath the stone arch, eyes open, ears straining to the sound of waves crashing in the dark. He is counting the seconds between thunder and silence. He is learning the rhythm of defiance, and somewhere far below the tide turns. It curls around the base of Gledwyn Castle, dragging itself across the moss-dark stones, licking at the walls like it's searching for warmth that no longer exists. The castle, hunched deep in its hollow, never sees true sun. Only a smothered light that feels more like memory than morning. And within that gloom, carved out by generations of silence, sweat and shadow, a boy climbs. His name is Alrik. He is barefoot, blindfolded, his breath shallow, not from fear, but from the weight of what is expected. The Tower of Veils rises like a crooked finger, wrapped in mist, rising into nothing. Its inner walls are lined not with steps, but with uneven stone and the cruel weave of thorns stitched into its bones long ago. The boys are told the thorns were placed by penitents, those who failed to silence their pain. Their screams live in the stones, the masters say, and the tower remembers. Alric's hand finds the first hold. Blood blooms quietly, tracing down his wrist. He says nothing. This is his trial. Below, the others wait in a circle of torchlight, their faces pale and distant. No words are offered, no prayers, only the cold discipline of watching. Above them, the bells do not toll, not for a climb like this. Time here is measured in breath, in agony, in whether you come back down or not. Each movement upward is a sacrifice, a tear of flesh, a test of will. The silence is not still, it whispers. Alrik remembers the warmth of bread ovens, the yeasty air of morning, the soot on his mother's sleeve. He remembers his sister's laugh, high and bright, like birds over wheat fields. But these are ghosts he is meant to kill. Memory is a traitor here. and Alric has already betrayed too much by remembering. A thorn rips the skin behind his knee. He clenches his jaw. Blood mixes with old dirt. Above him, the wind moans through the slits in the tower wall, like breath caught in a dying throat. This is not training. This is transformation. And yet, below the surface of pain, there is still something inside him that refuses to break. Something not yet turned to stone. Down in the Hall of Scars, a boy vomits in silence. He will be punished for weakness. A master watches with eyes like dried riverbeds. The shame post waits for him in the morning, its rope stiff with the regrets of boys who cried, who stumbled, who dared to hesitate. The Hall of Scars has no candles, only the pale light of the torches that sputter along the damp walls. The pillars bear names, scratched deep into the stone by shaking hands. Some are etched clean, proud, defiant. Others are gouged wild, in spirals, madness or desperation, no one knows. Some say, the stones bleed on cold nights. No one dares to ask why. Obedience is not taught here. It is carved in. Each hour is a ritual. Water hurled into sleeping faces, mud-choked, laps across the outer yard, bare skin against snow, bone against gravel. You run until you can't feel your legs, then you are told to run more. If you collapse, you are dragged to the post. But there is no shouting, no fury in the master's eyes, only calculation. Pain is not used in anger. It is used like a sculptor's blade, slow, deliberate, intimate. Back in the tower, Alric's hand slips. He catches himself on a protruding stone, but a thorn drives into his palm, deep, straight, precise. A shudder runs through his spine. He gasps. Just once. Below no one stirs. That gasp is a kind of death. Above him, darkness. Behind him, nothing. There is no way down. He climbs. Hours stretch like centuries. Time here doesn't flow. It drips. Eventually, the wind stops. Not because it has calmed, but because the summit is near. There is no wind at the top. Only stillness. And a black stone platform, crusted with old blood and wax, remnants of past rituals. At the center, a rusted ring, set into the stone, its use unknown but felt in the marrow. Alric's foot finds level ground. He kneels, the fog folds in around him, thick and wet. He cannot see, but he can hear. The absence of the climb behind him, the breath of the castle far below, the pulse in his ears like drums from another world. He does not scream. He does not call out. He simply waits. That is the final test. No one tells the boys this, but silence is not just a rule, it is survival. The first to scream on the climb is often never seen again. The masters say they fell, the others know better. Hours pass. Dawn, if it can be called that, smears a dull light through the fog. Somewhere in the courtyard, bells begin to chime, not the harsh bells of punishment, but the slower rhythm of summons. A new day begins. At the tower's base, a door opens. Alric descends slowly, bloodied and raw. His face is blank. The blindfold still covers his eyes, though stained now with tears and red. He does not remove it, until the master's voice tells him to. When it lifts, the world looks different. Colors seem wrong, shapes shift. His body feels foreign, as if it no longer belongs to him, but to something else. Something born in silence, and built from will. The other boys do not cheer. They do not greet him. One merely nods. He has returned. That is enough. In the chapel, candles flicker before iron cages, where saints once knelt and wept. The boys kneel before them now, not in reverence, but in remembrance of what it costs to believe, to obey, to become. They kiss the rusted bars, with lips cracked and swollen. Faith here is not hope. It is submission. Alric places a hand on the cage. The metal bites, but he does not flinch. Tonight, another boy will be called. Another climb, another silence. The castle never sleeps. It only waits. And outside, beyond the walls, the fog stirs once more, like breath held too long, ready to exhale. Something is coming. Not a scream, not a rebellion, but a fracture. A tiny crack in the stone of Gladwin, carried in the quiet defiance of a boy who did not scream. Not yet. Snow whispers. It slips through the broken ceiling, falling like silent ash onto the armor of a dead knight. The iron glimmers faintly in the firelight, dulled by time, blessed by myth. 10 wounds, they say. 10 wounds before it broke, and still it hangs, untouched by rust, too sacred to clean. The boys of Castle Morwen do not pray to saints, they touch the mail for luck. They mutter oaths to it before trials, not out of reverence, but desperation. The knight never had a name, and that suits the castle fine. Names die here, sooner than bodies. Tonight, the brazier burns low, shadows stretch like hungry fingers across the atrium. The walls weep in places, wind whines through the stone slits where arrows once flew, and the bell at Tomlin's neck trembles with every breath. He stands alone now, hood low, back straight. The others have already gone to sleep, or pretend to. The trial of bones is whispered like a curse. No lanterns, no guides, just a boy, a candle, and the catacombs. You go down into the dark, and if you come back changed. Some return with hollow eyes, their lips trembling prayers they never knew before. Some return with no words at all, and some do not return. Tomlin knows the stories. He has listened. He has watched. The boys who scream in their sleep. The ones who can't look at the dining hall walls, because they've seen them bleed. But Tomlin is not afraid. Not anymore. Not since the bell. They hung it around his neck after his escape. A soft thing, just a simple chime. Yet it weighs heavier than chains. It sings with every movement. It says, he tried to run. He failed. He has worn it for 6 weeks. Long enough to learn its rhythm. Long enough to stop flinching when others laugh. He walks like a whisper now. He thinks like stone. And now, he stands at the mouth of the stairwell, the gate to the underplace. The trial of bones waits. A candle is pressed into his hand. Thick, white, the wick already lit. A hand shoves him forward. No words, just the creak of the old door opening. The corridor devours light. He steps down. The walls breathe. You can hear it, if you know how to listen. A slow exhale of cold air, damp with rot. The stone underfoot is slick, not with water, but the seep of something older. The candle flickers, and in that flicker, the shadows around him seem to move, not run from the flame, but lean toward it. There are bones here, he can smell them, dry and close, bones that have been broken and bound, hidden and honored. The catacombs do not whisper names, they whisper deeds. Tomlin moves forward, counting every step in his mind. 7 left, 2 right, duck the beam, watch the floor, there's a pit, 3 paces ahead. He knows this from the older boys' murmurs, the ones they think he doesn't hear, the ones too afraid to speak during daylight. He walks slowly, the bell rings softly, steady as a heartbeat, and yet, it is not fear he feels, it is clarity. The trial is not about courage, it is about knowing the dark, about understanding the quiet. He passes a doorway half sealed with stone, beyond it rusted manacles, twisted into the shape of screaming. The candle catches a set of carved initials above the lintel, nearly worn away. He does not stop. There is a cold in this place, that does not belong to weather. It eats into the joints, crawls behind the eyes. It is the cold of memory, of forgotten things. Finally, he sees it. A skull, perched on a low altar of rough stone, cracked through the left temple, burned black across the teeth. One eye socket is caved inward, shattered by something heavy. The skull of a traitor, they call it. But traitor, to what? The castle never says. The castle never needs to. Tomlin kneels. He does not touch it. Instead, he draws a thread from his tunic, a frayed piece of cord he'd tucked inside for weeks, and ties it around one of the jagged teeth, not to mark the skull for others, to prove he was here, that he came close to the face of death, and chose silence. Then, from the wall behind the altar, a sound, a breath, not his. The candle flame jerks. He turns, slowly, without panic. Every part of him now, a machine of quiet. The bell does not chime. A figure, not a boy, not a man, something in between, draped in rags, pale as wax, the eyes sunken, watching, and smiling. Tomlin does not speak, he only nods, once, and stands. The figure does not follow, he steps back, 1 foot at a time. The candle shrinks lower, up, out. The corridors shift again, or feel like they do. A test of the mind as much as the flesh. But Tomlin remembers the turns, the timing, the pressure of his own heartbeat. When he finally sees the crack of light beneath the exit door, he does not run, he walks. The bell rings, once, twice, then silence. He emerges into snowlight, the pale dawn falling through the ruined ceiling above. The brazier has gone out, the armor still hangs. A boy stands waiting, not a master, just another one marked by trials. He nods, and takes the candle. Tomlin says nothing. He walks to the armor, the nameless knight's shell, and touches it with 2 fingers. He does not ask for luck. He does not thank it. He simply connects. He has seen death. He has not looked away. And now, when the other boys pass him in the corridor, they do not laugh at the bell. They listen to it, for it tolls not just shame, but survival. And somewhere in the belly of Castle Morwen, a figure made of pale and silence, waits in the catacombs, watching, remembering, because Tomlin is not the first to walk as a shadow, and he will not be the last. The next trial comes soon, and this time, it will not test courage, it will test loyalty, and the sound of a bell may yet become the sound of a blade.